You are welcome to our channel. Don't forget to like, to share, and also to subscribe. Stop the hate. Wike fires back at Senator Kingibe over ground rent criticism. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, has reacted to recent criticism from the Senator representing the FCT, Kingibe, over the enforcement of ground rent payments in the capital. In a statement on Thursday by Liri Olayinka, Wike Senior Special Assistant of Public Communications and Social Media, the minister accused Senator Kingibe of harboring deep-seated animosity and allowing personal bias to cloud her judgment on critical policy matters. She must stop seeing issues from the angle of "I hate Wike," Olayinka said, urging the senator to purge herself of the hatred she is harboring against the FCT minister. Recall that the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA), acting under the directive of the minister Nyesom Wike, recently revoked the titles of more than 4,700 properties whose owners had allegedly defaulted on ground rent payments for several decades. The enforcement exercise commenced on Monday when the sealing of several high-profile properties, including the headquarters of the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS), the People's Democratic Party (PDP) Secretariat, Ibro Hotels, and others. However, the operation was temporarily halted following the intervention of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who granted a 14-day grace period for defaulters to settle their outstanding rents. Reacting to the development, Senator Kingibe criticized the enforcement approach, arguing that the Land Use Act stipulates that the penalty for non-payment of ground rent should be limited to a fine or surcharge. She maintained that the compulsory sealing or takeover of properties without adhering to the due process outlined in Section 42 of the Land Use Act and other relevant legal provisions was unlawful. As the elected senator of the Federal Capital Territory, I cannot and will not stand idly by while residents are subjected to enforcement practices that contravene established law and compound their suffering. I am actively engaging with relevant authorities and exploring all legislative avenues to ensure that any enforcement action taken as consistent with the rule of law, fairness, and compassion, she said. However, Olayinka described Kingibe's stance on the enforcement of ground rent payments as ridiculously illogical. He emphasized that land allocation in the FCT comes with clear legal obligations, one of which is the annual payment of ground rent. Olayinka further challenged Kingibe's understanding of the Land Use Act, accusing her of ignorance regarding the legal basis for revoking land rights acts and land rights. It is ridiculously embarrassing that a serving senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, whose duty is to make laws, is ignorant of the provisions of Section 20, subsection A and B of the Land Use Act. He stated, for the education of Senator Kingibe, Section 20, subsection A and B of the Land Use Act provides that the government may revoke a statutory right of occupancy on the land of a breach of any of the provisions which a certificate of occupancy is by Section 10 deemed to contain, and B, a breach of any term contained in the certificate of occupancy. Now, is annual payment in ground rent not part of the terms contained in the certificate of occupancy? Or Senator Kingibe just choose to advise a myopic attitude to anything Wike? She should have rather said that the landowners in the FCT have right to refuse to pay necessary bills stated in the certificate of occupancy issued to them, and that when they do so, the government should simply pick samba and tambourine and sing their praises, he added. Now, if land allottees refuse to pay ground rents for 10 to 43 years, Senator Kingibe will just look away if she was the FCT minister. Honesty, issues will never end. When it comes to Wike, he's a man that is filled with controversy. Controversies surround Wike all around. But all things being equal, of course, on the issue of the Land Use Act and the revocation of the certificate of occupancy of so many lands, and then of course some buildings too, is the one that is causing raising unnecessary dust now between Wike's aide and Senator Kingibe. Mr. Lere Olayinka, who is speaking on behalf of the former governor of Rivers State and the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, is cooling the senator, making her to understand the fact behind the issue, that the senator is not insane. The FCT minister is not insane, at least looking at what the law is saying. Because in this regard, they both are firing, missiles as regards what the law stipulates. Mr. Larry Olayinka has been able to pinpoint the fact that in one of the land use acts of section 10, there's a section A and B, he has been able to pinpoint that there are certain things that are contained in the certificate of occupancy and the other like that. If any of them is violated by whoever collected a land, of course the government has the right to revoke the land. But actually, even if that is right, what I think Nigerians want, and maybe that is what Senator Kingibe is trying to present that she couldn't present properly, is the fact that human face is important in everything you want to do. Why? Because the law that we are talking about is made for the people. People are not made for the law. The law is not there to slaughter the people. And the people are not there even to be a lab rabbit for the law. No, it's because of the people. For orderliness and clear understanding of ourselves and smooth running of our society that laws are made so as to help and to enhance us. It is not made to injure, to wound, to maim, and also to destroy us. No, that's not the purpose of the law. So Ileri Olayinka should have that in his medulla oblongata, that even though he is on his right in court now, FCTA now are on their right because somebody who is owing ground rent of over 10 to 43 years has refused to pay. Of course, before any court of law, I think that person is a perpetual debtor, and we won't even say that he does not have. The point is that person doesn't want to pay because high-profile buildings like the PDP Secretariat, even the Federal Inland Revenue Service that is even owned by the government, the sole agency responsible for collection of taxes and incomes for the government. Haba, I think we need to call a spade a spade. Honestly speaking, it is true, Hebrew hotels, these are money bags, strong people. It's just that they don't want to pay. They have the money. It's already at their disposal in the kitty, but they failed. They decided that they are not paying. And if that's the situation that they are not going to pay, of course, it is now the right of government to act swiftly. If it were for some powerless, private individual, let's say a common Nigerian, who out of his own gratuity bought the land and things like that, and couldn't make ends meet, and Wike is doing this, I know people will talk, the Human Rights Society will even rise up. But in this situation, it seems as if they just want impunity to be at the best, and that is not supposed to be. So be it as it may, Mrs. Ireti Kingibe is not right for allowing such to continue. But in our own sense, maybe our presentation, like I said, is the fact that human face should go along even when you want to make a deterrent of anybody. Don't forget to like, to share, and also to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.